What is this? What is this? What? Oh, it's a truck. Oh, it's a motor. Oh, it's me. Oh, it's me. No, I'm kidding. What up? The other day, and I never did repair that dang fuel line. Oh yeah, because I didn't have the room. I didn't want to take all that crap off. Right there. See where the double clamps and the metal line is, and the double clamps on the other side. I had a fuel filter right there, but I didn't want to change it. Got the new filter on. Dude, this old filter is freaking nasty, bro. Look, it was getting stained. That's how bad it was. There, compared to that. Oh my gosh, what the hell? No, you like what I got? I got a thing for my key. So, why are we out here? Talking shit about the carburetor. Talking shit about this carburetor that I got. I could fire it up right now and show you guys. It has this flooding issue where it's dumping fuel out the main jets. That's what he's saying. I wonder if it has like some debris. The main jets. Maybe there's no jets in this carburetor. Or maybe they flew out and into the motor. Maybe the motor just sucked the jets out of the carburetor and sucked them down into the reservoir. That could be possible. Because if he says the fuel is just pouring out of the main jets, too much fuel coming out of the main jets, maybe we got something wrong with this carburetor. I could go back to that other Holley carburetor, the first one that I bought for this thing, but it hasn't had fuel in it in a long time. Bird, shut the fuck up. Oh my gosh, bro. Shut up! Yeah. That first carburetor. I would have to take the electric choke off to put on another manual choke, to put on a manual choke on. I have to take the electric choke off to put on a manual choke. And then after that should be good to go. But I'm going Edelbrock, baby. Some of you guys are probably wondering, why are you going Edelbrock? Why? I don't know. Just to try it. Just to see if it's any better. Just to see if it's any good. Because I've heard some people saying, oh, Edelbrock's is what you want for a street build. And this is just a street truck. You know, it's not going to go. The furthest it's ever going to go is around town. So it's not a let's go to the beach in it type of truck. Not anymore, because this thing has terrible fuel capacity. I bet you I couldn't. Maybe if I was like at the beach, it'd probably get me to the beach. Or if I was like 2 towns away from the beach, it probably could get me to the beach. But if I'm like 20 towns away from the beach, it ain't gonna take me to the beach. I would have to have 4 or 5 gallon fuel jugs in the bed of the truck just to get me from Big Spring to the next town, fill everything back up, and then you know what I mean. This thing gets terrible fuel capacity. I mean, this truck is so bad. I just do my regular run that I do for, like around town. Go to Mary's, go to Walmart, back to Mary's, back to my place. I do that. 2 to I can't even do that. I could do this 2 to 3 times. I burn about 4 gallons. And it's only a 20-gallon tank. So, then to say, oh, this truck was meant to have both tanks, be usable with both tanks. I could do that. But then I'll have to get a fuel selector switch and then figure that out and get all that hooked up somehow. Buy more fuel line. We all know how fuel line is expensive, right? We all know that. So I would have to like rig it up somehow. I don't even know if this truck ever had a fuel selection system. I mean, it has it on the old AC control panel. It says front to rear, but I don't know how it worked underneath the truck, you know, how it worked. I don't know if they had like a T or like an electric T switch thing, or I don't know how it worked because I don't remember. But this thing was on propane. So this thing has never had a dual gas tank. Never. It had them, but they were never used because it was on propane. So, and I completely stripped all that out. So I don't know if it was big or small, or there's no telling. But I could do that. I could get me I could do both tanks and then have both problems solved. Or I can get me a bed mounted tank and do it that way, which could also work. Now, I did have a bed mounted tank, but I meant just a small bed mounted tank, like a good 20, 40 gallon tank, not a 50, 60, 70 gallon tank. Nah, I ain't putting that much money into it. Maybe like a 20 to 25 gallon tank for the bed. Minimum. Just something to sit behind this rack in this little space right here. You know, just something small. Even if it fills in that little space right there, would be okay. Just to fit that little space right there, which could also work. And then I could scoot my toolbox over that way and put the fuel tank over here on the driver's side. And then drill the holes in the fucking bed and then run the fuel line. And then run a delivery and return. Because there's some edelbrock carburetors out there that will come with a return line and a delivery fee. Delivery fee and return. Sometimes. Some of them will. I don't know about a Holly. But there is one Holly carburetor that you could buy that would have a return feed. Just, you know, this truck does not have a return feed. Maybe it probably does need a return feed to control the pressure. So it's not getting constant pressure, you know, like all the time. Where we can like calm that pressure down a little bit. We get a fuel regulator or whatever, but we do have a carburetor, a Holly carburetor, that has the small bowl capacity, but it also has a delivery fee in the front of the bowl, and then it has an exit port in the back of the bowl for return. So when the carburetor fills up and goes to the second and fills up the second bowl, it comes out. The back bowl comes out of the back of the bowl and then goes back to the tank for return feed. So I never thought this truck used to have a return feed fuel system, but I stripped that all out because it's not really necessary. I mean, probably it would help our situation. Maybe the pressure is just so damn strong. The float is just bouncing in there. So it opens and closes and opens and closes. Open, close, open, close, open, close. Whenever the mechanical fuel pump is pumping, the float is just going. It's so much pressure that it's making that it's the fuel is forcing its way in when it should be closing. And that's what's causing my flooding issue. So maybe I do need a return line. But how would I get the fuel? How would I make the fuel go back into the tank? The sending unit, or maybe I can have the fuel go back into a separate part of the fuel line, or maybe somewhere else along the fuel tank. And no, I'm not going to drill a hole in the fuel tank and add my own connection. No, I'm not going to do that. Maybe we do need a return feed. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. But that's going to be a whole lot of money of stuff I got to buy and to get it to work. And the tank could be used. I'll just have to find a alternative solution. An alternative route. But I might do that. I don't know. I have to see first. I have to see if this edelbrock carburetor fixes my problem. And if it still has the same problem with an edelbrock, the edelbrock is going to have 2 shutoff valves. It's going to be 1 fuel capacity compartment with 2 floats versus 1 fuel capacity compartment with 1 float. Get where I'm going? So a single capacity, just a solid, that's like if you had a bucket. That's like if you use a half of a water bottle for the fuel capacity, but you had 2 floats for 1 water bottle. So that doubles the rising. You basically get what I mean. So rather than this carburetor having just a 1 fuel capacity in the front and then 1 in the back with 1 float for each compartment, it has 2 floats for each compartment. Get where I'm going? With an edelbrock, it's going to be like that. It's going to be just a solid fuel capacity compartment. Fuel entering through the front, going out the side, fuel's over here, and then over here and over here. So it's like, like a giant square fuel capacity, like a giant box fuel capacity compartment with double floats. So it will help control that fuel capacity a lot better. So rather than having 1 float at the entry point, it has 2 floats at the entry point. So it kind of helps you know what I mean. Or maybe the pump really is that strong and it's just filling up the carburetor past its point. So we probably need a return feed. But I'm going to look up some bed-mounted fuel tanks. I'm not going to mount it underneath. That just causes more problems. But if I'm going to go that route, I'm going to have to drop the back rear fuel tank, take the sending unit out, and then switch sending units. Give it a sending unit that has return feed. I don't know. I'll look it up. Maybe we can get like at the Phillip tube part, we can replace that hose with another part that will allow the fuel return feed to go from the carburetor to the Phillip tube rather than go, and then it'll still go back into the tank and still get sucked through the tank. It'd be pulled through the tank, but at the same time thrown back into the tank somehow. I'm probably gonna have to change tanks and change sending units, because my sending unit is just a one delivery fee. So my sending unit only has the one pickup tube, but then there's no way for it to return back to the tank because of the one delivery fee coming out of the tank. So coming out of the tank, it just has the one delivery fee, one delivery tube. But then it won't have a way to go back into the tank, which doesn't make sense either. So, I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's thinking I had an edelbrock the entire time for that kind of system, but I don't know. I'll think of something. But let me do some research and see what I can find online as far as like bed mounted fuel tanks go, and return lines and a return. You know what I mean. Let me just do some research.